For almost a decade, he was a total ghost. The world's most wanted man had just vanished. Today, we're going to break down the incredible intelligence operation that finally, after all those years, hunted him down.
So, let's set the scene. It's late 2004, right before a US presidential election, and a brand new tape shows up on Al Jazeera. It's Osama bin Laden. He looks healthy, confident, and he actually claims responsibility for 9/11 for the very first time. For the CIA, this was more than just a threat. It was a public taunt. It was a slap in the face, a reminder that their trail had gone completely, totally cold.
And believe me, that frustration had been building for years. It all started with that near miss at Tora Bora back in 2001. US forces thought they had him cornered in these mountain caves, and then, poof, he was gone. And even as they started capturing major Al-Qaeda players, the direct path to bin Laden himself, well, it was still a complete mystery.
Okay, so with all the obvious leads turning up empty, the CIA had to completely rethink its strategy. Instead of asking detainees, hey, where is he? They started asking, how does he operate? How does his inner circle work? The goal was to build this incredibly detailed blueprint of his entire network, just hoping that they'd eventually find a weak link.
And this new approach led to a really critical insight. Bin Laden had gone completely dark. We're talking no phones, no internet, nothing. His only connection to the outside world was through a super trusted network of human couriers. And just like that, the whole game changed. Forget high-tech surveillance. The new mission was to find the messenger.
And you know what? In 2004, this new strategy actually started to pay off. They captured an operative named Hassan Ghul, and he gave them the first real lead they'd had in years, a name. Or, well, it wasn't really a name, it was an alias. See, here's the problem. Abu Ahmed al-Kuwaiti isn't a real name on a passport. It's what's called a kunya. It's a type of nickname. So the single most important lead the CIA had was for a complete ghost, a person with no official identity to track.
But here's where it gets really weird. The intelligence was all over the place. The guy who gave them the name, Hassan Ghul, he insisted this al-Kuwaiti was bin Laden's most trusted courier. But when they asked senior guys like KSM, they just laughed him off, said he was a nobody retired years ago. For the CIA, that really strong denial, that was a huge red flag. Now, it's really important to pause and talk about the controversy around how some of this information came out. Because while these interrogations were happening, a major 2014 Senate Intelligence Committee report later concluded that the harshest techniques they used on detainees did not in fact provide the key information that ultimately led to finding bin Laden. So with human intelligence at a total dead end, analysts were just stuck chasing a nickname. The next piece of this giant puzzle would have to come from somewhere or someone completely different. For 2 long, frustrating years, that's all they had, a nickname. Analysts chased this al-Kuwaiti alias down one dead end after another. And then, in 2007, a breakthrough came from an unnamed foreign intelligence partner. They finally had it. They had the ghost's real name. And there it was. The ghost finally had a name. Ibrahim Saeed Ahmed. He was a Pakistani national with family ties to Kuwait. I mean, this was a massive step forward, but knowing a name and actually finding the person, those are 2 very, very different things. The world is a big place, and this search was far from over. In fact, you're not going to believe this, but the hunt would go on for another 3 years. This really shows you the incredible patience of intelligence work. This wasn't a spy movie with a breakthrough every 5 minutes. This was slow, methodical, often frustrating work, just sifting through data, following false leads, and waiting for one tiny mistake. That break finally came, and it wasn't from a human source, it was from signals intelligence. The NSA intercepted some phone calls from a guy they were pretty sure was Ibrahim, and his behavior was just textbook paranoia. The way he talked, the precautions he took, it was a perfect match for the profile of a top-level al-Qaeda courier. So, here's how they started to close in. First, they analyzed his voice and dialect. Check, it matched the profile. Second, they noticed his extreme paranoia. Get this. He would drive for over an hour from his home before he even put the battery in his phone. That's a classic spy move to avoid being tracked. And then finally, in August 2010, agents on the ground spotted his car in Peshawar. The hunt was on.
So now you have agents on the ground secretly following Ibrahim's car. And the assumption, of course, is that he's eventually going to lead them to bin Laden's hideout. But the destination itself, that quickly became the central mystery of the whole operation.
I mean, this was the question, right? Every single agent involved, every analyst back in Virginia, they were all holding their breath as they tracked him through Pakistan, just waiting to see where this decade-long trail was finally going to end.
The courier's car led them here, a compound in Abbottabad, and it was nothing like what they expected. It was this massive 3-story building surrounded by 18-foot walls with barbed wire on top. There was no phone line, no internet connection. The people inside even burned their own trash instead of having it collected. This wasn't a house, it was a fortress, and it was clearly designed to hide someone.
And in that moment, the entire theory just flipped on its head. This wasn't the courier's safe house that he visited. This was the target's fortress. The courier wasn't just a messenger who came and went. He was living inside, under the very same roof as Osama bin Laden himself.
So the intelligence phase of the hunt, it was done. After a decade of dead ends, of near misses, of painstaking analysis, they had finally found him. But this incredible discovery left the entire world with one final, lingering question about this very strange sanctuary.